Hello and welcome to a video dedicated to these guys. These are a new addition to our first snapshot from 1.10. 16W28 came live a couple of days ago, and if you do want to see all the other awesome features from the snapshot, I do have a video up on my channel where you can go and have a look at them, but today we're going to have a look at these in depth. Now, these quickly became some of my favorite blocks, my favorite additions. They're not quite survival friendly in that the only way to get hold of these is to give yourselves however many of these you like. You've got the structure block and you also have the structure void, which is what I'm holding in my hand. I've got the structure block and the structure void, and I'm going to go through these now and show you exactly what each of them do. So the structure block actually comes in 4 states, much like command blocks. You'll see here we've got data, save, load, and corner. And the easiest way to change between these is by placing one down, clicking on it, and you'll see this little letter here, and you can cycle through them as such, and that will, as you'll see in the background, change the texture to match whatever the block is so you can easily tell which one you're looking at. Now, to kick things off, the data block. Maybe a little bit disappointed on this one, but I don't actually know if anybody quite understands what this does or what this is used for. I don't know whether that's because they plan to add something in at a later date, or we just haven't figured it out yet. But the one use I have found for this guy is quite literally transporting data. So let me show you what I mean by that. So for example, if this was the build that we wanted to copy and paste for our new awesome adventure map we're building, we might think, well, the area that this is going in needs to be a little bit more dangerous. I think I should have a spawner. We could place one of these data blocks down and we could type in here, add a spawner, or we could copy and paste a command or something like that. Then when you copy and paste this guy or save and load this guy, that data block will come over with this little message inside. Now, I have no idea if that is the intended use, but that is one use I have found for it, so we can at least go with that for now. The next block is the save block and the load block and the corner block. Yes, 3 in 1 because they all kind of go together. The save block, the load block, and the corner block all are kind of self-explanatory here, but I'm going to show you how to use them in further detail. So I think the best way to do that is with this guy here. Let's just say we have built ourselves the most awesome house. We love living here. We've even got ourselves all of our fishing treasure. We're super happy. But as they say, the grass is always greener on the other side. We've just realized this place exists. It would be perfect for our little house. It's even got its own little lake to fish in. So what do? Well, obviously in survival, you would have to cheat these in yourself if you wanted to do that, but maybe if you were building this as part of a map or something similar, you may want to then move it, or you may have built this previously so that you could find an area to put it in, and yeah, so now we want to get this place over here, but we don't want to have to build this again. Maybe we don't even know how to build this again. Now may actually be a good time to mention as well, I don't think this is fully implemented just yet, but I know at least the plan is you will be able to save these guys, and you will be able to save them as actual files and share them with your friends. So this may also be something you could never build, but your best mate did. So what do we need to do? Well, first thing we're going to need to do is save this place. And to do that, there's a few ways. So let me show you the save block. Inside here, it's pretty straightforward, and I actually really like this GUI, but let me just go into a little bit of detail if you don't quite understand what's going on here. We've got the structure name, and this is what we're going to call our place. So we will call this Hut 1. I think that would be suitable. The relative position is the relative position of our build from this save block. So in this instance, we might say, well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks on that axis, and then so and so, and we can just come in here and type, well, it's 5 this way minus this, and that's fine. That's one way of doing things. The next section underneath is the structure size. So this here would then again determine how big the actual structure itself is. So we might say, well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks tall, 6, 7 blocks wide, and so we can type that in manually. But of course, in old Minecraft fashion, we have an easier way to do this. That is these guys, the corner blocks, and again, these may do just what you think they do, but let me show you how they work. So for example, this guy here, we're gonna need to change the names. It's very important that all of the names for the corner blocks match the names of the save block, and that is so they know what they're looking for. So we'll save this one down here as Hut 1, and this is our bottom corner, and then on the opposite side, we'll have another corner block. And again, we'll save that with the exact same name, so it knows what it's looking for. And then what we can do is head into our save block, and we can hit detect. And what that is going to do is detect exactly where our corner blocks are and figure out just what size we want this place to be. There are a couple more buttons in here, which I'll quickly show you. The bottom one here is include entities, which does just what you think it would. It will include any entities such as mobs, item frames, armor stands and things like that. It did say it wasn't quite implemented yet, but it does seem to work. So I don't know whether it's just a little bit broken. So be a little bit careful with that. I did have an accident earlier with some villagers that kind of, broke everything. So be a little bit careful with that one. Just to note as well, whilst I'm talking about breaking everything, I tried to set this to 500 by 500 and it completely crashed Minecraft forever. Apparently the largest size you can do at the moment is 32 by 32, which I think is roughly 2 chunks. So that's still a fair size, and maybe they'll implement that going further as they release more versions of this. The button above that is going to be invisible blocks. This is going to be extremely useful, especially in our situation right now. So we're going to turn that on, hit done, and you'll see all of this mess appear here. So what is this? Well, these blue blocks here are actually air blocks. And that will become relevant when we try and move this place over here. But this is also where our structure void block comes relevant. So every single one of these blue blocks is telling the game that this here is a block of air. So if, for example, if I copied and pasted this over here, this block here, once it reaches there, anything that is already there, the game will say, nope, this needs to be air, and it will replace that with this. So in our example here, where we want to take our awesome house and place it down on this wonderful landscape, we don't want all of this clay to come with us, and we definitely don't want these air blocks getting rid of the grass. So what can we do? Well, we can place down these structure void blocks. So if I throw some of these in here, you'll see that they turn red. These are extremely awkward to place. A little pro tip in placing these, place it on the block that's closest to it. So if we want this guy here, we can place it underneath. If we want the guy above this blue one just here, we'll place it on top of the red one, and so on. But they're extremely awkward to place. So to move this guy over, we're going to need to do a little bit of work first, and that is by removing all of these clay blocks because we do want our grass to show through. So there we go. We are also going to want to use our structure void blocks to make sure of a few things, and one of those is that this tree here doesn't get damaged when we paste these air blocks. So let me just fill this in too. Alright, that will do. For the sake of this tutorial at least, I think that's probably enough. We could also head inside again if we wanted and make sure that nothing comes through. So for example, if there's already some grass on this block inside, we can make sure that we don't get grass in our house. But once we've done that, we can head on over to these blocks. We can hit up this one and click save, and that will tell you down the bottom left there, this structure has been saved as hut 1. So now the challenge is to reproduce this house underneath this tree here. So to do that, we're going to want to use the load block. So the structure name that we want to load is hut 1. Now, I would say be a little bit careful with this just because I've made a few mistakes doing this, but if you try and keep an eye on the box in the background, you shouldn't have any issues. Once again, we see the relative position, and this here is going to then determine whereabouts this goes. We can show the bounding box so we can see roughly where it's going to be pasted. We've also got the option down here to include loading entities, which if you're trying to do and you've saved entities, you're going to want to turn this on. And underneath that, we have rotation and mirroring options. So we've got 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and 270 degrees. And we also have this guy here, which will change the mirroring. So it will show which way it's going to mirror. And then you have the load button itself. So once you come into here, you can hit the load button, and that is actually just going to draw you an outline. You can either power this with redstone or click the load button again to load the building, but you'll see just here, well, we're loading this kind of in the wrong place. This wants to go underground just in here. So how many blocks down are we from ground level? If that's ground, we've got 1, 2. So we're 2 blocks down from ground level. So if we head in here, we're then going to be able to turn this to -1, which will get us in the right place. We want to go forward by 3. Let's try and figure this one out. Alright, I think that is just about where we want this place to go. One thing that is useful to note is this green line here. If you're trying to match up your object where you want to place it and you're not sure of rotations, this here's the line it's going to rotate on. So we can see in this instance that this green line is just where we want it to be. So all we'll need to do then, if we are very happy with that placement, is come in again and hit the load button, and that's going to load our house in. So as you'll see, where we've placed the structure blocks, I must have missed a few. There's a couple of air blocks laying around, so some of the grass has gone, but it's not a big deal. That's just me not taking enough care and detail in it. But you'll see where all of this grass and water has not been changed, and hopefully the tree hasn't been messed up too much. It looks like it's mostly intact. But there you go. We have now copied or pasted our awesome hut over towards the lake so we can go fishing, get ourselves some more prized fish, or whatever it is we want to do. So there you have it. They are the basic and main features of the new structure block, the structure void block, and what you can do with them. The possibilities with pretty much everything in Minecraft is pretty much endless, and again, we're seeing some really great stuff coming out of this. I imagine a lot of people, map makers especially, are going to have a lot of fun with this. And here's a little something just to show off the sort of capabilities that you can get with this guy. So what we have here is essentially a mirror in Minecraft. We have a block that is saving this, and we have a block that is loading it opposite, with the mirror option on. So if we throw in one of these clocks, have I got that off? I have. There we go. If we throw in one of these clocks, that's going to constantly load this. So what that will mean is if we start building, we have a mirrored image in Minecraft. How cool is that? So that just kind of goes to show you the sort of things that are completely possible now that we have this whole feature built in. So I do want to say thank you very much for watching this video, and I do hope that it was helpful for you guys to kind of learn and understand the structure blocks a little bit better and get them implemented in your day-to-day Minecraft. So of course, if you have enjoyed this video, do go ahead and click the like button, and please do let me know in the comments the plans that you guys have to implement these into your world. And of course, if you do want to see more about the updates, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll be posting as much as I possibly can about anything awesome that's coming for 1.10. And yeah, I'll see you next time.